Sport bans. European LCS and G2, they've taken away both Kalista and Thresh. Hybrids, one of his most impressive champions was Braum, all split long. We saw Aframu use that to pretty good effect in that previous game despite the loss. And a Sivir taken away, targeting Emperor and the potential Maokai. So some power picks that we were expecting, but the supports caught me off guard.
Yeah, I mean, would this be a world where they first pick Braum, if I'm thinking about it? Because if you look at the most played champions for SwordArt as well, it's Thresh, Alistar, and Braum. And below that, he does have some Trundle wins, but depending on the way these picks and bans shake out, that could actually be a thing that happens.
Well, SwordArt is one of the big playmakers for Flash Wolves and one of the shot callers, you know, a voice in the team. So get him a little uncomfortable, get him off balance. Could be a way in. Bard taken off the table as well, so
that tells me that you almost have to first pick the support at this point, which is crazy to say because there are so many other power picks that are still on the table, like an Azir, like the Kindred, because Nidalee is banned as well, but you can always match the Kindred with the Graves. Maybe we're reading too much into this. I love these picks and ban phases, quick shot, when it's the first time we see these teams on this patch, because we really don't know what to expect.
No, we really don't. In terms of some of the other supports that, you know, I've seen Hybrid play in the past, the Trundle springs to mind, maybe the Janna, she's done once or twice, are alternatives. We'll need to see whether or not he decides to go that route.
Yeah.
And I want to see what Kikis is going to play, because he was and is a hardcore tank player, and his primary champions, his Ekko that surprised in the finals, has taken some significant nerfs with, obviously, the kit and the Iceborne.
Yeah, long ago, back in 2012, he played a lot of Rumble. We'll see if he really wants to do something weird here.
Hey,
Perkz
CLG played a team fighting comp, so weird could be on the cards.
And it worked. Oh, wait, no, it didn't. They lost. But here we go. If they do decide to go Zed, that would be incredibly bold. He blind picked Zed when he was feeling really hot in the finals. I'm curious, I don't think they'd pick a mid laner yet.
I wouldn't expect it myself. Perkz, however, you can see with the giant grin is a little bit of a troll.
If they pick the Trundle here, they would be able to swap it between top and bottom lane. But with the high priority on Ryze as well, since Ekko and Braum are also power picks, I don't think they wanted to give the Ryze over to the LMS region. So it makes sense they pick the Ryze right there.
All right, so locking in a safe, powerful pick. G2 have got themselves some pretty good early game in Kindred and Lucian. They've got themselves some scaling in that Ryze and some teamfight power. LMS are going to have some options to respond. We're expecting that Ekko to go top lane. And that means we're looking for most likely a jungle ADC and leave the mid lane to counter once you guarantee that that Ryze is going mid.
Yeah, and I think it's mostly guaranteed that the Ryze is going mid. Perkz had some awesome Ryze games in the European LCS playoffs. NL played two champions when they 6-0'd the playoffs. It was Lucian and Kalista, even though Ezreal was his most played throughout the regular season. So these picks would make a lot of sense. Karsa had a tremendous Graves game in the semifinals where he picked up 14 kills. Those picks are all very straightforward.
And if anything,
for Flash Wolves.
Flash Wolves team comp screams, go, go, go. They've got a lot of guys that want to be in your face. Ekko can find those flanks, find the backline. Kalista's going to be throwing SwordArt's Braum into as many G2 members as he can find. I wonder what they're going to round out that team composition with.
Kikis does have to respect, if he picks a top laner here, that the Ekko could absolutely go mid. Even if we don't even take recent history into account, longer history, the first game of Worlds, Maple played Ekko and had a really powerful Assassin Ekko game. So we know Maple can play it, we know MMD can play it.
We'll find out what they will.
Top.
So Trundle top, Kikis going to another sort of old school pick, if I can use that term.
I think it's what he needed to do with the Maokai being banned and the Ekko taken away. It's going to be able to give him some split push pressure and lane pressure once he's able to get his Titanic Hydra, if he goes that route, or Ravenous Hydra.
And picking it up over Poppy, which was available, and something that, again, you know, he's played more recently, albeit things have changed now on 6.8. That is the patch we're playing on.
I think the Poppy nerfs are no joke. It was a substantial hit to Poppy's overall power. So I don't think, personally, that it needs to be prioritized highly.
All right, and it was not this game round. 20 seconds left on the clock. G2 have got their team composition rounded, got some disengage. Not the hardest of engage. Going to be very reliant on Perkz and Kikis really to set something up, or maybe a Howling Gale. I much prefer the engage power that LMS and the Flash Wolves have put down.
Yep, Azir falls pretty deep in this draft, as it will be locked in for sure. So Maple will look to scale pretty hard on that Azir here. And I think it's a tricky matchup for Ryze. Ryze doesn't have very many ways to dodge around the damage that Maple can put on Azir. So carry junglers, tank tops, not too many surprises actually in this one, aside from all the ban focus on the supports, which ends us with a Janna for Hybrid.
And it is a matchup that we've seen so much of, especially in the European LCS during the course of the quarterfinals. Ryze into Azir, they raised a lot of priority in the region. So now we're going to see how experienced G2 are on the stage. I find Deficio's lack of faith at the top of the show very disturbing, personally, because he was talking quite openly and honestly about G2, but I think the potential for these teams to have, again, explosive games, match style for style, is going to be very exciting.
I can't wait. Honestly, Trick didn't play a huge amount of Kindred in the playoffs either.
No.
So having the Graves versus the Kindred in that matchup will be really interesting to see whether or not the European MVP can show up.
And it's also an inverse, because during those playoffs, Trick was willing to give the Kindred over and play Graves into it. This time around, they first picked it. So let's see whether or not he's found some additional rhythm. You guys know the deal. Jump onto Twitter immediately and just let us know who you think is going to pick this one up, whether it's going to be the EU LCS with hashtag G2win or hashtag FWwin, if it's going to be the LMS. And yeah, we're going to find out two slightly different team comps, and I think slightly more difficult to pull off if you're an LCS fan. You guys know the deal by now as well. You've been voting all around the world if you think G2 will own the Rift, and it's Europe. They've got the largest share of players in Europe showing off the MSI icon in-game. Therefore, the Rift, the stage, the map, the color is going to be the European LCS, Jets.
Such a cool stage, and I can only imagine what it feels like playing on that stage, especially for the team we just saw walk away victorious. Those RNG chants at the end of the game were pretty tremendous to witness in person.
Absolutely were. Teams are doing battle here in Shanghai for the mid-season invitational title. And of course, making it to playoffs, that's step one. Get those Pool 1 seeds. And that's something that I think the Flash Wolves are hungry to earn, hungry to prove.
Oh, absolutely.
As the LMS region always is.
I mean, they're going to wish this rule was in place last year, because they did great. They made it to the semifinals. Flash Wolves definitely want to step up against Europe stylistically, even though there are a few differences, like in the junglers being gank versus farm at the very beginning of the game, or the AD carries being aggressive versus more passive. They play the game through the mid lane. Look for Maple and Perkz to go hard in this matchup. Look for Trick and Karsa to be really at each other's throats as well. And I can't wait for this one.
And something that Trick does exceptionally well is the vision game. Very ward heavy. Places a lot of, provides a lot of information rather for the team, for G2 to work around. And Perkz is going to be running teleport. So we got double TP for the European LCS, and for LMS, it is Flash Exhaust. So a slight difference to what we saw in the previous game, which was 2 heals in the mid lane.
Yeah, I mean, Maple will look to go aggressive, I feel like, with this Exhaust. If Perkz ever wants to all in, and Maple's going to have that Exhaust in his back pocket. So Perkz going to have to really look for those double TP plays. That being said, G2 had tremendous success with double TP plays all throughout the European LCS, only getting better at it as the split progressed.
And taking a look at the lane setup, looks like the lane swap was initiated by Flash Wolves, but I believe equaled here by Hybrid and Emperor. They were lingering in that tri-bush.
Yeah.
And they're going to find the duo. So Australian lanes, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, Kalista, Braum, and Janna, Lucian, you can make arguments for either of these lanes. No one was really doing any deep warding, so this is a blind swap top for both teams, really. But it's going to be all about that level 2. To see who gets control of that lane early. And also where the junglers decide to go, because they have a lot of options open. No scouting done early game.
Scouting done early game. Talking about the junglers, you know, Karsa has traditionally spent a lot of time around Maple, but going into playoffs, made some changes, made some adjustments, spent some more time in MMD's lane. And the combination of Ekko plus Graves early on has a lot of damage as we take a look at the keystones.
Yeah, so the only minor surprise would be the fact that you got a Warlords on Kindred, although that's pretty common now. It's the only jungler who doesn't take Strengths of Ages. Everything else seems fine. The Wind Speakers on Perkz is also a little bit...
it's debatable.
You debate which one you're going to bring, but I've even seen a Strength of Ages rise just to get the durability up, but I'd like the Storm Raider Surge, especially if you're looking to play fast like G2 does.
And they're going to be so reliant on Perkz' Rune Prison to find kills. There's a very limited amount of hard CC on the side of G2's composition, so additional mobility may play out in favor. Perkz is taking a lot of poke there from Maple. Maple using those Ryze Sand Soldiers to great effect. And as of yet, no early presence. First clear's just about done, and now we can see where Karsa and Trick want to maybe prioritize the decision-making, prioritize their time in the first 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at the top lane, it looks like NL and SwordArt actually went and... Did they take a Krug? They were out of lane for a long time. It's actually Emperor and Hybrid who seem to have a pretty substantial lead early on in that lane phase. NL taking a lot of piercing lights through the minion wave. A big wave up here. Karsa would be in position to defend it, though.
And with the Relic Shield and the Kalista passives, should be relatively easy to clean up. Find out how much pressure Emperor and Hybrid can put down. A couple of autos onto the tower. But small advantage in pressure, small advantage in tempo here for G2, and that actually could enable Trick, if this keeps up. Could allow Trick to play that heavy invade style, get the vision down, and read where Karsa goes.
Yeah, and I mean, G2 is the best team in Europe at capitalizing on tempo advantages. That's one of the big reasons they went 15-3 and also ended up champions after the playoffs, is because if one lane is winning, it allows the other lane to play more aggressive, and it just snowballs on itself right there. Here, we saw the top lane was heavily pushed up. Kikis has a big wave stacking up in the bottom lane. He's going to look to play fairly aggressive. He will have to be careful, though, because they know Karsa is a gank-focused jungler.
And I think you have to put some credit here to G2. They've got big CS advantage down bottom, despite the wave that MMD is going to catch. Emperor is up about 10 CS over NL, and just straight up head-to-head laning. So G2 are already earning themselves small advantages, and I think they're setting up for a dive, Jat.
Yeah, I mean, he went for the challenging smite right away, and they're just going straight in.
MMD's got no mana, will get the shield, flashes away before it comes up. First blood to Trick, but the tower reply takes down Kikis.
Getting one back there for MMD is absolutely crucial because they were so far behind on that play. Karsa saw the ward spotted. He should have pinged out MMD much sooner, and I actually think MMD should have teleported out of that lane almost immediately. Should have backed up a little bit, pressed his teleport key because Kikis wouldn't have been able to walk up to interrupt him with the pillar, but he kind of gets bailed out in a sense because he gets a kill back and because Kikis didn't get it himself. But challenging smite on Trick, he can just walk right up. He doesn't even have the smite up already, so it kind of doesn't matter. Kikis takes one too many turret shots. Trick didn't need him to come back in. He would have been fine.
Oh, not done yet. Perkz gets exhausted, forces a flash out of Maple and the exhaust. So trading 1 for 2 summoners. Advantage Perkz.
Trick has been ahead of Karsa in both of these ganks. That's the reason he was able to force the summoner out there, because Trick was there to respawn and Karsa was a little bit behind.
Trick's in a little
Trick goes for the smite on the Maple with no summoners, but the turn!
Got no Lamb's Respite. Moving forward, Perkz throws up the overload. They've traded 1 for 1. Karsa's in trouble. Stand behind me from SwordArt will buy time. They're both junglers picking one up.
Blow for blow, but Trick is going super aggressive here with the red smite. That was so critical in that duel, the fact that Maple couldn't kill him because he was reducing the damage coming in on the backside, and he also dodged a lot of Karsa's skill shots, but Perkz wasn't quite there in time to lend the assistance, and SwordArt was able to make the roam down. So it all starts, Karsa's in base, Kindred would be there for the support. And here, Trick just goes super aggressive, and he's actually gonna look to deny that. Karsa waits in the brush. And yeah, Perkz is off clearing the minion wave, so Trick is really doing a solo mission here. But you see he gets the smite down, just tries to focus as much as possible onto Maple, and he does just get him.
Just to get that kill. By the way, that Ryze running into Azir is something the mid laners of Europe are a big fan of, picking Ryze into Azir for that ability in the early game, just to run him down before Azir's really got all that headroom and all that scaling under his belt.
Now this is a situation where Flash Wolves picked Azir into Ryze, so Maple was clearly confident in his abilities there, but, I mean, just looking at the lanes, G2 really taking it to Flash Wolves early on, but there's that Azir ultimate.
Oh, it's gonna look so simple. Perkz just gets shut down by Karsa Maple, the duo that was hyped up. They make it look so simple.
Yeah, I mean, you can pick the Ryze to run at the Azir, but if you don't have anyone with you and the other guy does, you're going to be in for a whole bunch of trouble. That was just Perkz going super aggressive, very G2 in that sense, where you'd expect pressure to be in another lane. When that happens as well, then the jungler would be distracted, but it's just not quite there, and Maple definitely takes back a lot of pressure in that lane, as well as Karsa. It's going to be very useful gold as he goes towards Warrior. 3 kills for Flash Wolves. They've been spread between MMD, Maple, and of course, Karsa himself. And
It is currently G2 with a small advantage of gold, but look at the CS discrepancies that are growing. Kikis, plus 20 over MMD. That's not something we were expecting coming into this game, and MMD's under so much threat.
This is going to be a really big dive. He doesn't have ultimate to try and get out of this one, so Kikis just has to get him low under the turret. Should be an easy kill for G2.
Well, let's find out if Kikis gets killed once more. Makes it out safe. Kill goes to Trick. Not ideal at 3-1, but he's going to continue to farm up that Devourer.
Yeah, Trick only has 0 marks of the Kindred.
Unlucky.
I thought maybe he would have marked someone as he's going for all these kills, because he does have 3 kills. But like you said, his Devourer will be stacking up. He's going to have to be a big factor in this one. Right. The kill did cost him a mid lane turret.
It really did. G2 gone back to a slightly more early version of themselves in terms of the regular LCS split. A lot of aggression early, a lot of pressure in multiple lanes. A roam at what, 8.5 minutes with both Trick and Perkz secures them a kill, and it gives G2 the kill advantage, but unfortunately they lose their outer turret, so control for Perkz somewhat reduced now.
It's going to be really hard for him to have the right amount of pressure with that mid lane turret down, because we also have to keep in mind that this is a game where both junglers have opted out of the Tracker's Knife, and neither of them are likely to build Sightstone, because on Kindred and Graves you want to focus your damage items so you can multiply your damage later in the game, and they're very focused to dueling each other. So with the mid lane turret out and no jungler to help you ward, it becomes incredibly hard for Perkz to keep his farm advantage over me.
And Perkz is doing very well. First international showing for this young kid, 17-year-old mid laner. And you know, talking about young on the stage, we're 10 minutes in, and G2, this is their first international showing. They won their inaugural split in the LCS, and they're not faltering. They had a very clear game plan early on, committed to the ganks, committed to the dives. Small misstep from Kikis, but overall, not showing any sea legs wobbling underneath them, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. The rumors of them had the 2-week vacation as well beforehand. They need to be able to come into this and feel ready. Sometimes a break can make you more focused. You need to be able to avoid burnout as you prepare for a team and go towards a big international event. And this is very important for them as well as their region. They need the international experience, and their region would really love to have that Pool A seed, especially if G2 wants to be tops in that region and secure the seed for themselves, so to speak. So much on the line for them to be able to show up at MSI.
Especially when you look back at last year. 2 European squads in the top 4 at Worlds 2015. For LMS, they managed to make a top 8 seeding and have consistently made playoffs throughout almost every major event that they have attended. And of course, Trick, is that going to be his first mark of the Kindred? Yes, it is. A little later than expected, but he's also
on a dragon. He's going to try and sneak this. So this is a fairly low ward game because of both junglers going so aggressive. And there's also very few pinks out on the map, so that dragon sneak's absolutely doable for Trick.
Take that one. Kikis is winning the 1v1 with MMD, extending that lead further, nearly 30 CS. We've not mentioned that Emperor, he's maintained a 20 CS advantage over NL. It just feels like G2 are out-farming their opponents in so many lanes.
They really are. It's the pressure game that they like to play. They're able to get the farm because of the pressure they've accrued in all of these different lanes. Just that mid lane turret that went down because Perkz decided to go for the roam. And it actually has costed his CS in the mid lane a fair bit. Kikis getting very aggressive. There is a Graves behind him, so he's got to be really careful.
Oh, how long does Kikis stick around? Got Flash and Subjugate available. Stunned up by the parallel convergence. MMD's found the support. Subjugate will buy some HP and time and defensive stats, but Kikis should just get run down. It will take time. He even flashes at the end. That you shouldn't have done.
Really poor flash at the end there for Kikis. Take the over-aggression at first. It's another one of those things, though, where he had pressure in the bottom lane, so he was expecting to take pressure in the top lane, and they're opting into these risks. And a couple of times now in a row, it hasn't paid off for them with Perkz in the mid lane and Kikis in the top lane, really just giving ganks to Karsa. Karsa needs to be able to capitalize on these as well. The flash at the end was kind of inexcusable. Yeah. Even if he is able to get before the auto attack, Graves would still have his ultimate to finish him off.
Yeah, so unfortunate for Kikis, wasting that summoner. He's earned enough farm to complete himself his Hydra. Titanic is the option of choice. No tanky stats just yet versus MMD going Sunfire. And I want to keep my eye on how this Ekko is going to perform throughout the course of the game, because we've actually debated just how impactful the Poppy, the Ekko, the Iceborne Gauntlet nerfs are going to be. And now we can actually see it in effect in game as well.
Exactly. I feel like the old Ekko was undeniably the strongest top laner in League of Legends with the tank build. Now it is deniable, at least, but he's still incredibly strong. The nerfs were important, but not gutting in any sense. I think he's still very, very strong as a top laner, but in a straight-up duel in the laning phase, you're going to be hard-pressed to find someone who can outstat Trundle, because he takes your stats.
Yeah.
It's very, very tough there, but because Kikis has been so aggressive, Karsa has been able to punish him a few times, and it looks like MMD is doing just fine.
Yeah, managing to keep himself relevant. Taking a look at the goal difference between the lanes, very, very even in that top. And we'll expand on some of the rest of the roles in a moment. You can see a big advantage for Emprez. He's going to be moving into the jungle with the support of Trick and Hybrid. Trick does not care, chasing SwordArt down, flashes over the Fissure, picks up a kill. The divide doesn't work and Trick's not done yet. Lamb's Respite is available. It's going to get needed. Woo. Not just yet. Throws down the Respite to buy time.
Oh, and
here comes NL. Pierce, will I get the kill? Hybrid's channeling the Monsoon. By the way, Emperor hasn't stopped. That's another kill for G2. Collateral damage plus an additional tick will take down Perkz. Trick's running for his life. Maple flashes forward, finds a kill. A full channel on the culling means Emperor's chunking down Karsa. Essence Reaver's doing work. The Monsoon's up. Kikis is diving. MSI's games are delivering. They are going further. Now Hybrid's in trouble. MMD, he teleports it up and the pillar will end it. Was that a 3 for 3 at the end of it?
It looks like it. These teams are going in. I actually think SwordArt had respawned because he was the first to die, so a 4 for 3 at the very end of it. G2 getting 4 kills. And wow, Trick is going so aggressive. So he's very close to finishing his Sata Devour after that one at 23, but he just knows he's got the challenging smite early. He flashes over the ultimate to avoid the knockup and finishes the kill. There, visual lag there on the ult back. Trick did get pushed by the Azir ultimate, nearly dies. He ults when he thinks the Azir would be able to Q into him with his soldier, but he does not, so he doesn't have the ultimate for the end of this fight. Perkz then flashes over the wall because everyone just wants to be part of the party here. Karsa is huge, Trick is huge, and Maple is also willing to burn his flash to get aggressive, but in doing so is punished. It's hit, hit, hit. They're always just kind of throwing haymakers here. Maple dies under the turret, Karsa dies under the turret, and Hybrid dies also under the turret.
And there's the mini-map. The entire time it took, SwordArt was looking to get back and involved. Jet, after the chaos, 7 to 7 in kills, 2 to 2 in towers, but it is G2 with a 2,000 gold advantage and a dragon under the belt, which was snuck away by Trick. And then we'll be respawning in about a minute and a half. So, I don't know, 5-2-1 for Trick's Kindred. It's good because he's showing up this game, but some slightly sloppy plays around his decisions.
Yeah, European LCS MVP needs to show up, and the pressure these guys are under is absolutely massive. But Trick is the strongest person on the map right now. So wherever he goes, flash rolls need to respond.
One thing you also have to credit, Emperor plus 50 CS over NL. Wow. We talked about the difference in the aggressive versus defensive play, and currently it's Emperor that is demolishing NL.
Yeah.
In a turret top down, mid turret down. That's a 2-for-1 trade in favor of Europe.
G2 just has more pressure on the map right now, and Flash Wolves is struggling to keep up. Clement was saying how much Flash Wolves has been able to speed up their play throughout the regular season, yet they're the ones getting heavily outpaced here by G2 as Trick is taking 2 turret shots.
Such a cheeky play. Perkz runs up, Rune prisons Maple, and Emperor just gives a full culling channel over the side into Maple's back. Get some damage down, set G2 up and peel away. Not a lot of wards for them to set up vision around the dragon, but luckily the Scuttle Crab will help.
Yeah, that gives him sated 17 minutes and 10 seconds in. That is very fast. And he has been able to now get 3 marks, which is good but not spectacular. He's still looking to take over this game, and I think cheeky was the right word for a quick shot when you talked about the way G2 plays, because they're definitely not playing a risk-free game by any sense of the word. But it is still...
The thing is, they never have.
Yeah, it's open for a lot of opportunity, right? They are putting themselves in position to make the other team beat them, and they're expecting to be able to play better. But with those late recalls, they're going to give up the dragon.
And as a team that has shown a penchant for playing on the front foot, has played aggressive, at Howling Gale, almost, but it's getting a bit hopeful. It doesn't happen all too often. Take a look at the middle lane. Kikis is going to force a sliding glide out of Maple. It doesn't have a Flash Wolf, but it doesn't need it. And Flash Wolves, they even out the dragon count. It's 1-1, but Flash Wolves now have to play from behind. And it's not something that they have shown great ability at, but they've been so dominant in their region, they haven't needed to.
Exactly. They were actually had a bit of a slow start to their regular season, but the playoffs was what was so dominant for them as they destroyed AHQ in the finals. This one, it's a similar situation to the last game in a sense where we have the Azir on the losing side. It's incredibly hard to push into an Azir while you're leading, but with the way G2 has pressure in all 3 lanes and looks to use double teleports, I think it's actually going to be hard-pressed for Maple to keep them clear because he can only be in one place at one time.
And there's zero hesitation. They've caught NL out. Defensive flash away. Teleports coming down. NL and SwordArt decide to re-engage as they thought Emperor wasn't there, but Emperor's bought enough time. He's arrived to the party, and MMD, he's dashed in forward. The tower's down to 20% HP and Flash Wolves. They are forced to retreat. TP is available for both Kikis and Perkz. So if G2 reset, they have all of the global players available to them.
Yep, 2 TPs to no TPs is the current count, and they're probably getting this turret because they are sticking around and they forced so many recalls from Flash Wolves, so they just continue to put the pressure on. Trick gets really, really aggressive here.
And it's
not stay in.
Not done yet.
Oh,
He's in trouble to heal, but it's Maple that takes him out. I think Exhaust probably helped out. Defensive flashes, Emperor's being run down from Maple. There's not a lot of support. Flashes forward. Flash Wolves are going to find themselves 2 more. It's 3 kills for 0. G2 overstepped their bounds.
And G2 is always pressing the limits of what is possible in these games. Well, they went a little bit too far here. I don't know what Trick was necessarily thinking. He had the Hex Drinker proc, and Emperor came in at the heal. For some reason, I thought it was Janna from off screen. It definitely was not, and Flash Wolves can get right back into this game here. 3 kills, around 20 minutes. It completely flips the map pressure around and could come close to getting that gold even, because G2 was actually on the brink of running away with this game, but now it's close again.
Completely reset the tempo of the game. G2, they were looking to snowball, looking to get that avalanche going, but there was just too much momentum, and this was the over-aggressive play.
Oh my
You can
God.
see on the minimap how split they are. Diving, what, 2 towers, really?
Yeah. He has 3 teammates in the bottom lane, and he flashes in between the 2 mid lane turrets, blind into one guy. He's like, I'm just going to solo Karsa. Well, he can't, actually. Karsa can dash away and also ult away for another dash. Emperor follows him in, as does Hybrid, but now we actually have a Baron. Let's get back to live.
Hey, take a look at this. The game just continues to press on. G2 Esports, they've gone for the gutsy play. Baron's going to get chunked down. The pillar's going to stop Karsa. Now Karsa's in trouble. Baron's picked up, but it's actually by Kikis. They've got themselves a kill to Karsa. MMD's on the front line, forced to use Chrono Break to get out alive. Fate's Call being channeled by NL. The target is Kikis. Knocks him up into the air. Subjugate's been burned through. They've killed NL. G2 have got Baron. 2 kills. Make that 3. And Flash Wolves are running for their lives.
And that's something that's great about G2. Even if they make a mistake, they do not care. They do not let it affect their future decision-making, and they just keep going. After Flash Wolves killed the mid turret, they were a little bit late to recall, and G2 said, yo, let's just go for Baron. They rush it down. They keep Karsa out of the pit with the Trundle pillar from Kikis, so huge credit to him there. And then it's just a straight-up brawl. They're in the Baron pit. Maple was a little bit low from the outset, so he couldn't really get engaged on. NL just hasn't been able to pick up the farm this game and is incredibly weak on a Kalista right here who would like to snowball the game. So he gets crushed. Perkz was able to flash in aggressively, and G2 retake the lead in this game. 5,000 gold and looking to push.
And despite the fact G2 lost that 80 carry very early on, they have another one that's even more fed and more farmed in Trick. He's up 20 CS, got the more completed, the Hurricane that's sated for several minutes. Right, 21 minutes. G2, 4,000 gold up. They've got Baron for another minute and a half or so. 2 minutes maybe. Where do they go? How do they press this advantage? Because it's been reckless and chaotic and all over, to be fair.
Yeah, well, to press their advantage, I think they continue to be reckless and chaotic. But if they're looking to do it a little bit more intelligently, they need to utilize their double TP advantage, have Kikis keeping MMD at bay in one lane, somehow pull Maple away from the main source, and then do a dive where Maple or MMD is not, and just force a numbers advantage with their, it's not a very reliable initiation, but if they double TP in with some type of home guard boost, they could get Perkz in the right place to make a play happen. With that being said, it's only 22 minutes into the game, so it's a little bit early to consider diving an inhibitor turret.
I don't think G2 will care yet. Seeing how many times they've already dove this game. All right, the focus currently is the mid lane. Hybrid takes so much damage from Maple.
And that's exactly why you want to push a lane where Maple isn't. Hybrid is so low now that they actually have to reset their push, and it's going to delay them through a good duration of this Baron buff.
All right, Kikis was going toe-to-toe with MMD. Used Subjugate already. Karsa trying to put some threat down, but Trick is waiting in the wings, hanging around that mark of the Kindred target. Kikis decides to play forward, knowing there's some support. knowing how much damage is behind him. And it looks like G2 are trying to play the map, trying to play multiple lanes.
Exactly. They've reset now. Hybrid is coming back to base, and they get a little bit of a jump in the mid lane, but it looks like
Target's on the other side. Perkz, that's way on the wrong territory. Thought he had more room to play with. Loses his life, but they secure the tower. Probably maybe worth in the big picture. But again, it slows the game. It allows Flash Wolves more time.
Exactly. When you're facing a big gold deficit, you really just want the time. But that's something that G2 isn't trying to give back to them. Perkz dead for 28 more seconds now. Dragon would be a great thing for Flash Wolves to take. But I'm actually not sure that G2 is going to give that to them, since they still have 2 people in territory. They're smart enough here. They realize they should go back. Trick was the first one to channel his recall.
If it was closer on that death timer for Perkz, maybe the TP, but Emperor and Hybrid, they are spotted out. This could be more kills for Flash Wolves. A slightly audacious recall. Exhaust goes down. Emperor hasn't killed NL yet. Dashes forward, finds the kill. Emperor's dividing Glacial Fissure by some time, but how much can Flash Wolves take? It's a double kill for Karsa, and Kikis stays alive.
I think it's a miracle that G2 got 1 kill out of that one, because they were completely caught out with the non-synced recalls. So another bit of sloppiness. We keep saying the G2 is playing very fast, but incredibly reckless and sloppier than they should be. Trick should have been recalled at the same time as Emperor and Hybrid, but because he was early, more so that Emperor and Hybrid were late, is why they were able to get caught by that scrying orb and go in here. But they do exhaust, they do have the Janna shield to give Emperor enough damage, and they do pick up that 1 kill. But after that, they're lucky all 3 of them didn't die.
Yeah, very lucky indeed. That rough around the edges play could come back to bite G2. Yes, they've got a great lead, and yes, G2 are clearly in the driving seat. But the problem is, if you keep driving so close to the edge of a cliff, you run the risk of falling off it at some point.
Yeah, and Maple is reaching late game right here. He's got the Nashers and the Ryze. When he gets Void, he's just going to be shredding through whoever's in the front line, and their team fighting can get pretty amazing. This is why I'm excited for Maple. They're down in gold, but Maple and Karsa have the potential to carry this game and bring Flash Wolves back from a big deficit.
5-2-5 on Karsa's Graves. 5-2-6 on Maple's Azir. And the opportunity or the possibility to kill what is in fact 3 very squishy champions on the side of G2 with Trick, Emperor, and Hybrid is very real. So G2 slowed the game down for the first time in 25 minutes. Are forced to actually play on their side of the map for a while. Lo and behold, there goes Trick once again on a counter jungle on an invade.
Yeah, I mean, G2's made a lot of mistakes this game, which they had the chance to run away with this, actually, because Flash Wolves was getting out-farmed heavily on NL, lost a few team fights. MMD was able to get dove a lot. G2 had tremendous roaming ability, and Trick was looking like he was going to run away with this game. But now with Void Staff completed onto Maple, if they can set up the proper team fights, which is no easy task against the tri-lane pressure, they'd be able to do something.
Oh, a lot of damage going down to Karsa. Teleport's being channeled as Kikis is going to arrive in the mid lane. Perkz is already there. It's not a double TP play like we were expecting, but it will at least dissuade any engage. And you know, we touched on the fact that this is G2's first showing internationally. They've not faltered under any pressure regionally. In Europe, didn't matter their opponent, didn't matter the stage, didn't matter in Rotterdam. And as a team, they're hyper-aggressive. They're go, go, go. It's what their players like to do. Maybe they're the slight inverse. Instead of crumbling under the pressure, they buy into it too much. Yeah. And that's what they're going to learn to control over the course of the next 5 days of groups.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that G2 definitely love doing is they expect the other team to be passive on the international stage or on big games. So that just gives them the right to be even more aggressive, because you're not expecting someone to do these dumb things, so to speak, here. And a lot of times it works out for you, which was true for most of this game. But then we also have to keep in mind the experience of Flash Wolves. 4 out of 5 of these players were part of the Group A winning set at Worlds last year, where they beat the Tigers 2 times, the Korean team who ended up in the finals. Flash Wolves beat them 2 times. And in some of those games, they had early game and mid-game deficits, and they know how to stall these games and fight back. Flash Wolves has played faster this year, but that doesn't mean they don't know how to play slow. And with this Azir still scaling up, with the team fighting, and with some of the questionable decisions G2 has been making, Flash Wolves definitely has a chance to mount a comeback. But Baron is up, and this will be big.
Baron has cost many, many teams games. Multiple times, and for G2, they've done the smart option. They've matched teleport with teleport, so it's Perkz down bottom. That's going to look to try and hold off MMD. He's actually pushing MMD backwards. With that Rod of Ages, the Abyssal, Archangels as well. and it's Flash Wolves that are able to push G2 back. So G2 to look to clear out that vision, but neither team truly has a great control of the area. Technically, it would be Flash Wolves' slightly advantageous position. Trying to engage through Azir, Kalista, Braum is so difficult.
Exactly, but at the same time, with the gold advantage G2 has, it's going to be about setting up pressure in 3 lanes. I mean, Perkz is also at a very fed point that if you try to defend with the wrong person, he's just going to run up to them and one-shot them, essentially. One-shot is a relative term. He's going to cycle his spells a few times and the person will die. And
you combo them down.
Yeah, you combo them down. Flash Wolves, though, are still pushed back. Here comes the teleport. They drew MMD up, but they can counter-teleport. MMD's got to go for that ward, and they got to fight.
G2 Esports say, never tell me the odds. We want the Baron, but they've peeled away. They've backed away. SwordArt's on the front line. He's already used the Fisher. Defensive flash away from Kikis as here comes MMD. Trick is chunked down low, holding on to the Lamb's spike. He doesn't get it out. He doesn't get it down. MMD continues to look for the re-engage. Tags Hybrid. Isn't going to follow up with more. It's Maple that got the kill. Baron stopped.
Oh, man. So Trick not quick enough with his ultimate, and Flash Wolves can now turn on the offensive. That's a teleport burned by G2, matched by Flash Wolves, and G2 is scattered. Flash Wolves looking to take it up the mid lane.
They've got themselves a great push. Cannon Minion sitting behind the team, as well as the Azir Sundisk Tower. Eye of the Storm going to buy just a couple seconds from Hybrid, but it simply isn't enough. Perkz has thrown down the ulti, looking to wave clear as best he can, but it's a 5v4 for another 15 seconds. Flash Wolves open up the base, and slide and glide gets Maple away. He still had Flash. He was always going to be fine from that one. Not enough hot CC.
Not enough hard CC. That's something that's going to hurt G2. They're able to get this big lead by just pressuring lanes and giving the guys nowhere to run. And once again, G2 doesn't have very many siege options if they want to close out this game. It's basically do an objective, wait for Flash Wolves to run at you, hope you win the fight. But Trick was too patient, so to speak, with his ultimate. Didn't use it when he should have. Ends up going down, and they go right back to it. Flash Wolves stayed a little bit longer. They haven't had a chance to shop. Round 2.
Round 2, fight. Is it a trap? That's the question. Baron's not being peeled away. 2,000 HP. Karsa goes forward.
He got it.
Stolen. Flash Wolves take Baron, and the crowd goes wild. MMD Chrono breaks back to stay alive as Trick's Lamb's Respite does nothing to help. SwordArt is thrown in onto Kikis, and NL will find the shutdown. It's Flash Wolves back in control. Perkz gets one in reply, but that may just be a solitary kill. He's not done yet, looking for more, but Flash Wolves should be able to escape.
Yeah, I actually think it's really important that Perkz was able to pick up that kill, otherwise Flash Wolves could have taken any of these waves and pushed straight away to clean up an inhibitor. But yeah, Karsa can absolutely steal this Baron. Trick has no way of securing this over Karsa, so Karsa jumps in, Q with Smite, gets it from 830. Trick Smite doesn't do that much damage at this stage in the game, so with no one to zone out from the fight, it's just not going to work.
G2 maybe showing a little bit of inexperience in terms of shot calling. Playing one card, the Baron bait, trying to force that fight, and it is backfired twice.
Yeah, Trick Smite does do enough damage at this stage in the game. He was just slow on it, so Karsa got it, was the first one to smite in that duel. And a lot of this has been a jungler duel throughout the game. Trick was going crazy to start. Karsa was punishing a lot of the early aggression from the G2 solo laners to get a little bit fed. But I think the big factor here is Maple's Azir is just making a huge difference in these team fights.
I think it's fair to say kind of the inverse for those junglers. We were somewhat expecting Karsa to have slightly more of the gank heavy, the early game impact, and Trick to scale up into the mid to late, and it's been somewhat the inverse. But yeah, Maple cleaning house on that Azir, 7-2-7, got that Void Staff completed, and Trick, yes, he had great plays early on, but has been unable to find the opportunities by going over-aggressive.
And another sloppy play there by G2. Kikis has begun channeling his teleport on a ward in the top lane. They're up by where the minions are and canceled it. So that's 3 minutes of cooldown he has to absorb. Doesn't have distortion boots either to make it lower.
That could be problematic.
Yeah.
To be fair, G2 have not used their double teleports particularly effectively this game.
No.
If at all, really. Played the Baron bait with the Perkz TP much earlier on, that backfired. And MMD is now the one with a small window of opportunity to play the map, while Perkz is waiting for his to become available.
Yeah, whether it be rust or whether it be nerves for G2, their play has definitely not been very clean, but their mindset has been consistent with the regular season, where they look to continue to push the tempo. Flash Wolves, though, is really showing through with their experience here. They were able to get a little bit run over in the early game, but they're right back at it, looking to take this inhibitor.
They are indeed. Emperor gets tagged by the Pierce of NL's Kalista. Forces out the culling, clearing out some wards. G2 have done well to defend the tower for now, but another minion line is conging its way in, looking to aid Flash Wolves, taking their first inhibitor of the game. It's 33 minutes in. Perkz trying to wave clear with those overloads, moving in as close as he can. Not the strongest of wave clear from G2. Inhibitor is being chunked down. And again, no CC here for G2. They need a pillar, they need a rune prison, and those are both risky to set up.
Yeah, no clean way of initiating. They can initiate, but with the Azir Sun Disc right behind them, really, they're just happy to have Flash Wolves back away and not take the inhibitor. Perkz was always trying to just get in the right range to thread.
Look at this, Kikis is down bottom. He's got no teleport available, not for a very long time.
Yeah, Flash Wolves could absolutely go for a fight right here.
Or they could just easily take the tower. NL's not peeling away yet. Tower completely uncontested. Another mistake. G2 are coming apart at the seams the longer this game goes. And despite a gold deficit, Flash Wolves, they are in charge.
What was a 5,000 gold lead is now a 1,500 gold lead. And I believe Death Cap will be completed very soon for Maple. If he goes back to base, he needs to wait on a little bit of gold to finish it, but he'll get it on his next recall, which would be huge since the assassination potential for G2 is very low. That's the thing. They needed a large gold lead to be able to take over this game because their win conditions were split pushing, the 1-3-1, and the quick collapses. But in a setup standard team fight, they have one tank in the front line and low CC, which when compared to Flash Wolves of double tank frontline, double marksman, and Azir, it's just a tremendous setup for Flash Wolves, and their team fighting compositionally is way better. So when the gold becomes even, the advantage for Flash Wolves is pronounced.
I think you can, at this point, despite 1.7k, award that to Flash Wolves already. The sum of their compositional parts makes it well worth or worth more rather, than the gold deficit they find themselves in. So there's the death cap, has been picked up for Maple. He's level 17, getting so close to maxing out. One more item slot available.
Yeah, he has to get caught way out of position.
Yeah.
I feel like for G2 to have a chance in this game.
And he has to happen multiple times because he's got Slide Glide, Emperor's Divide, Flash, and Exhaust. Every single tool available will buy all of the time that Maple will need for the rest of the team comp to climb out. Also Flash Wolves, Dragons up in a minute and a half. They've got 3 already, despite G2 picking up the first Dragon of the game. So Aspect is another avenue that Flash Wolves could look to if this game continues to play out.
Yeah, and the G2 does appear to have kind of taken their foot off the gas pedal a little bit, which may negate their biggest advantage here unless they can just find the right play, right? We just saw a pretty crazy game between CLG and RNG where it looked like either team was going to win about 5 different times. And it was just that final team fight at the end. Same thing is probably going to be true here. A lot of G2's games during the regular season, I know this because I really wanted to do a G2 team fight breakdown, would end on a pick. They'd get one pick and then just kind of roll in 5v4. So they didn't have these climactic team fights. They just get something to happen. That's what they need to do in this game against Flash Wolves. They need to find a way to pick someone off and then win the game through a 5v4.
All right, let's see if G2 can find that opportunity. Another tower falls as Flash Wolves just uncontested stroll up to the bottom inner lane, knock that one over. 0 resistance. Perkz was shoving up the top lane, actually walked past MMD. MMD opted not to fight despite all the tankiness. He had no support to play with, and now all 3 teleports are available. So G2, will they use them effectively? They've not done so yet. However, you cannot underestimate the value on the potential that those abilities offer.
Well, we also have to think about what they need in order to set up the double TP. It needs to be off some form of pressure, and they also can't risk getting picked off either. If they want to set up double TP, Kikis would need to be pushed up in one lane. Perkz would need to have the other minion wave shoving, and then you need to either recall to get the home guard bonus and jump in, or wait until someone comes to respawn to you and do a normal teleport out. But G2 just can't get these factors to work at the moment.
Oh, it's flash already from Kikis. Trick was on the Dragon. He's going to secure that one. Flash Wolves, I don't want to say undecided, but they elected to stay on the Baron
side. They're going to go right for Baron.
Pressure from MMD in the top lane. Baron with Kalista and Karsa He's already stolen one away. G2.
This is really risky. Trick could also steal this. It's going to be another 50-50. He's
and it's stolen! Another Baron steal! Team fight's going to break out. Kikis is taking a lot of damage. Trick is going to buy as much time as he can with Lamb's Respite, but it's Karsa that comes out victorious. 2 kills for Flash Wolves despite Baron going to G2. G2 need to look for a disengage. They've still got those TPs, and with Baron, now they can play the map.
Does anybody pay attention to the enemy jungler when you're doing Baron? Like, he's just waltzing in there to get the steal. Flash Wolves definitely felt like they were more concerned with the fight than the Baron, but I feel for Karsa because that's a Baron steal back and forth. And then the actual fight, I think Flash Wolves was thinking they just had the better team fight composition, which is true, and if they can get G2 to funnel into them, they can win the game clean off. But they just don't get the clean enough team fight. The Baron was given over to G2, so they had the slight stat boost from that. Our second Baron steal of the game. Mystery guest activated, I'm being told by the stream right now, and Flash Wolves is going to try and push down because of the numbers advantage, but not because of the Baron buff.
10 seconds before Kikis and Trick are up. That's down to 8. The culling will buy some time, and Perkz is playing a threatening role. MMD, Guardian Angel picked up to back up that chrono break, but it looks like Flash Wolves, they should be able to get a lot of damage down. Kikis and Trick, they're alive.
Going for
this is a teleport in from behind. Kikis has put the pillar down to slow the Flash Wolves, but what can they take from it? There's no support from G2.
And how do you engage? Like, the only hard CC they have is Perkz getting a rune prison on someone, so nice effort by Kikis. He gets the pillar down, but he can't 1v5 or 1v4.
It saves the inhibitor, and it allows G2 to now push up and try get some deep vision. And now it's 1 TP versus 1 TP, as Perkz and MMD are the only ones remaining. Can G2 do anything other than some vision? It doesn't look to be the case. They're buying time.
They can get the waves, which is what's needed to utilize a teleport play. They still have 1 teleport on Perkz if they need to, but they have Baron on a lot of people right now, so they can get multiple Baron-empowered waves, get the split push going, and maybe get a pick when Flash Wolves is trying to defend.
And that's exactly what's happening. MMD is answering the gigantic wave in the bottom, but there's a somewhat equal one up top. Kikis throws out the Pillar of Ice. Spite is not in range, and he gets taken down. That's one of the nerfs to Kindred, and it's going to cost G2. They overstep their bounds. Flash Wolves pick up 3 kills for 0 reply.
Yeah, that's now the 22nd kill for Flash Wolves onto G2's aggression, but to give you an example of how much pressure G2 has been putting on in this game, they're down 10 kills and up in gold still at this stage, which is insane to me. But here they push a little bit too fast. They're right on the turret, whereas Trick isn't in the fight at the start of it. So Emperor goes down. The nerf here is that Kindred can only self-cast the ultimate, so he can't get the Lamb's Respite down in time to save Emperor. And Maple, there's no one to touch Maple. He can shift into a fight and not be punished. The double kill does go over to Karsa. The death timers are also incredibly long at this stage, so they're gonna finally try and crack this inhibitor open.
They should get it this time around. It's 15 seconds before G2 has the full complement of players available to them, and Flash Wolves, for the first time in what feels like the entire game, have a gold lead. They are equal, rather. They've also got their inhibitor taken down, and it is now Flash Wolves that are in the driving seats.
And this makes me so excited. These 2 games we've had Quick Shot, because obviously SKT are the monstrous favorites coming into MSI, but seeds 2 through 5 are also incredibly important, and we also haven't seen SKT yet, so we don't know if that is necessarily true. But we thought 2nd through 5 were super, super close, and there's no way of really knowing who's gonna win between those games. And what do we get? Multiple 40-plus minute games where the goal is within 1,000 that late into the game to start the entire event. Awesome.
In addition to it, just the manner in which the games have been played. There is so much to discuss and break down and review.
Yeah.
And the double round robin is going to give us many more opportunities for these teams to prove their worth.
Yeah, and you can call out a lot of mistakes in these first 2 games. These teams are definitely not playing at the highest level right now, but it's the start of the group stage, and these are the best teams from all these regions giving it their all. And that's what's exciting to me about watching this, and how will they react? How will they clean up their play? How will they move throughout the rest of the series? And how will they move throughout the rest of this game as Flash Wolves is looking to set up a death brush?
Oh, I've got a bad feeling about this. Flash Wolves are hiding. They're trying to pull a Fnatic Death Bush. G2 will have a lot of experience against that.
Yeah.
And they don't wander into the dark corners of Summoner's Rift. Flash Wolves are not deterred though. Instead will continue to press forward. We've got a moment, Jat. You touched on that extra gifting earlier. 2 Baron steals. You know, there's a couple of options that'll trigger this for you guys who are watching at home. Baron steal gives you double chance of a legendary. or an Esports mystery gift, because we've had 2 of them this game, it's now actually up to 3 times the chance. So,
and
some
if you get
perks
another one, would it go to 4?
I don't know the scale. Math's not my strong point, my friend.
It should be exponential. You should just get a legendary.
It will go to 4.
If you get like 5 Baron steals.
It will go to 4 if it happens again. There's another Baron in 145.
Well, based on past trends, I would expect another Baron steal. Because these teams have not been zoning out each other's junglers when they're doing the Baron, and we're having junglers focus it with teams fighting, so it's literally 50-50s, where they're just both trying to press smite at the right time. Although there's a lot of map pressure that Flash Wolves is setting up, but they haven't used that map pressure to transition into any wards. They should be able to pick up a dragon fairly cleanly if they want to, but Hybrid goes to the Braum!
Oh, he's forced to flash and use Monsoon already. Take a look at the engage. It's a disengage, in fact. Flash Wolves are running away. There's a potential for a flank. Teleport's already been used by Kikis. Throws down the pillar, but again, no hard CC. Perkz is looking for someone. He's caught MMD. Perkz is getting chunked down low. Perkz will be killed shortly, but not before he puts some damage. He's looking to take out SwordArt. Stays alive. Perkz keeps up the fight. The Emperor's Divide will push Kikis away, but they've already lost Trick. 2 members of G2 are down. Emperor gets run down by the rest of Flash Wolves. Only thing they got was a GA.
It all starts with Hybrid checking the brush, and in the ensuing chase, G2 go a little bit too far. Kikis gets crushed down by Karsa. Karsa and Maple, we talked about, they play the map through those 2 people. They're crushing the team fights as well. These are 40+ second death timers, and that could be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Flash Wolves looks like they're gonna take the game.
It looks to be the case. The LMS are on the verge of their first win here at the Mid-Season Invitational 2016. Only 2 members of G2 to hold off. It doesn't look like it will happen. There's no GA for MMD, but it doesn't matter. Perkz just gets insta-gift. Look at the player cams. MMD is already celebrating. The Flash Wolves take down G2 for the first win at MSI 2016.
And such a close game, but some confident high fives after that one. Flash Wolves should be proud that they were able to come back from such a deficit in this game. At the start of it, it was looking like G2 was gonna hum on all cylinders. The break they took, the pressure, they just didn't care. They just kept going for plays, but they tried to make too many plays. And at the end of it, Flash Wolves were ready for it, and they take the win.
Exceptionally well played by Flash Wolves, not to crack under the pressure, not to falter and make more mistakes, but you have to criticize G2. Stylistically, they went back to an earlier version of themselves. It was raw, it was unrefined, uncontrolled at many times. And it was that over-eagerness that costed them. It allowed Flash Wolves to punish.
The patient ones. Aside from